We're taping.
Hello, welcome to the inaugural Mike and Vivian's Book Nook. I'm Mike,
I'm Vivian.
and this channel is gonna explore our literary predilections, and we're also gonna get into some restaurant reviews in the future and indie bookstores.
We'll also be talking about a lot of New Jersey history, a lot of New Jersey culture. We're both from New Jersey, and we're both educators. Michael has a very strong background in history, and my background is in foreign languages and literatures.
Fun fact: I have a huge Pez dispenser collection at home, customized Pez, 5,000 pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So besides reading, I'm also an avid Pez collector.
Mm-hmm.
Pez for life, Pez. What's a fun fact about you?
I think a fun fact about me is that I absolutely love everything that's miniature. I like dolls very much. I'm what else about me? I'm a big movie buff. So those of you out there who love the movies, please let me know. And I want to hear your comments down below. And also, I'm a very huge advocate for my generation, which is Generation X. And yeah, I love travel.
Traveling is great.
Travel is wonderful.
When the airports actually didn't use airports use floppy disks, so you won't see me on a plane.
We're not going anywhere because I think isn't Newark Airport still messed up or something?
Yeah, it was better. Like Howard Hughes invented it. Was better. It was better age of flying. What a ugh.
Well, I think they're coming back though, right? They just released or they just relaxed the rules on the planes.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
But they make a lot of good videos of
But the
angry
security,
passengers.
the security, like Kathy Hochul, not Kathy Hochul. I'm sorry, she was talking about it. I think it was they don't have not Kathy Hochul. I forget who's the Homeland Security woman.
I don't know.
Christy Noem. I'm sorry, I get them confused sometimes. I don't know how. That's very ignorant of it. But now we don't have to take our shoes off at the airport anymore. So that's a win, I think.
Wow, I gotta fly now because I could go. I don't have to take my shoes off.
Hmm.
So that'd be a great way to put. But back to the channel.
Okay.
Obviously, we're going to go on some tangents once in a while, but we're going to stick within our lane.
Mm-hmm.
And today, our first section is going to be a two-part series: 10 books to read before you check out, before you die. Obviously, if you're reincarnated, you could come back and read some more. So that doesn't apply to reincarnations. But this is 10 books to read before you die, and we're going to stagger it 5 and 5. And then, yeah. Looking forward to your comments. Social media, we're gonna launch it next week.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter, Instagram, MySpace. We're gonna do it
Everywhere.
all. MySpace. We're bringing MySpace back. That's my opinion.
Okay, we're even gonna bring Facebook back. I know some of you were thinking Facebook never went anywhere, but for me it did. I just got back on Facebook after a 7-year hiatus, so that's just me.
I'm not doing Facebook.
What's wrong with Facebook?
I don't need to know that somebody's cat,
Okay, but you can't.
went to the vet and had a toothache. So, all right, your first book.
Okay. So these are the books that you need to read before you check out.
And we're gonna do one each.
Okay, we'll do one each. So my first book is A Separate Peace by John Knowles, and the reason that this book was very special to me is because it opened up the world of adolescent boys because they were very mysterious to me at one point. I went to an all-girls high school for the first 2 years of high school, and then I switched over to public school for my second 2 years of high school. So I knew some boys who were my age, but I didn't really know them. And A Separate Peace, when you get to see the inside thoughts of these young men and what they were suffering during that time period, and they're away at school and everything. And I remember Phineas, he's a character who is really he's a protagonist, but he has a friend, I believe, that had to go through some things, and he had some mental issues and problems and so forth. And
so it's a coming of age story.
It was a Bildungsroman, yes, Bildungsroman. What they say in German, Bildungsroman.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it was a coming of age.
I've never heard
story.
actually somebody use that word. I've read it, but I've never heard.
Yeah, Bildungsroman.
Bildungsroman.
Yeah, so it was really good, and I would always recommend it because it just gives you an insider's look. To me, it was kind of like The Outsiders, but these kids came from a different class. So The Outsiders were the kids who, you had the socials and you had the.
Speaking of The Outsiders, if you're in Tulsa, you can visit the house where Outsiders was filmed. Tulsa, highly recommended. I've been there 2 years in a row. They got the Woody Guthrie Center, Bob Dylan Center, but as you said, they also have the Outsiders house. So that's a great coming of age story.
Wall Street.
Black Wall Street, of course, Greenwood.
Yes.
Very important area. So my first book this book inspired David Bowie, Bob Dylan, Jerry Garcia, and many others, Francis Ford Coppola. On the Road by Jack Kerouac. I think that's the greatest
Mm,
American book of all time. I
mm,
think it's stream of consciousness done right, not like Faulkner who just types. So I think On the Road it inspired. Too bad Jack didn't live to be too old, and he was a tortured soul. But good art comes from tortured souls, and it gave the world
true.
Neil Cassidy, my favorite literary character that ever lived. If you
Mm,
don't know about Neil Cassidy, you need to know about him. He would
mm.
drive a bus in San Francisco and leave the bus and go talk to people and come back while he was still driving.
Oh,
He would have
wait. He was driving like a public bus?
yes. No, a bus that the hippies got. Ken
Oh, okay.
Kesey, the
Okay.
great
Yeah,
Ken
understood.
Kesey, who I love
Mm-hmm.
so much. So On the Road is definitely that got me
Uh,
into reading serious stuff and got me out of reading the stuff you have to read for school.
well, that's the first book that you recommended for me to read. When we met, you said I really want you to read On the Road. It's a quick read, and it saddens me because you can't have that experience anymore. That's why it's significant for me personally. Is because you can never have another on the road experience in this country. Because if you
Agreed.
get on the road at this time, you're not coming back. The way he was traveling, just bus to I'm sorry, taking buses from city to city and all that. He was wonderful, and
Okay, so your
so
second book?
my second book is Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt. Frank McCourt is a master storyteller. He has brothers, as you all might know. He passed away some time ago, but Angela's Ashes stands out because it is classical Irish storytelling, which is always I always appreciate. A very long book, but very heartfelt, and I don't think he was just so honest and so raw about everything that happened to him as a child and his mother and growing up in Ireland at the time and the lane houses and the misery and all these different problems. But there was a lot of beauty in what he went through. And he often said we were poor, but we were very rich at the same time because of the experiences and different things that they were
If you're
doing.
into misery lit,
Hmm.
like Sylvia Plath, I think you have to read Angel's Ashes. He loses a kid every 3 pages. You get used to it. After a while,
Yes,
I was
a lot
going,
of
oh, what
death.
happened? The kid hasn't checked out in
No,
like
there's a lot of death because he himself lost. There were supposed to be seven of them, and only four of them made it. So he lost Oliver and Eugene, and those were his twin brothers, which was terrible. One died than the other, and the first sibling he lost was Margaret Mary. So the
this made
brothers,
Sylvia Plath look cheerful.
it did. I mean, I have to say it did, and so yeah.
So that's your second book. A
Hmm.
great, great. My second book, I'm sticking with fiction. In my opinion, the greatest book ever written, the greatest writer that ever lived, 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
Absolutely.
New York Times said it's the best book since the book of Genesis. Every sentence is the most incredible thing. It's not fantasy. Fantasy to me is lazy. You just throw a dragon in there. You put a superpower in there. Magical realism, I'm definitely a proponent of.
Hmm.
And Gabo, to me, is the greatest writer ever to live. He passed away a few years ago. So,
Hmm.
what's your third book?
Yes, Gallo passed away in 2014. The third book I have is called Black Man in Red Cuba, and I don't have the author's name, but again, it's Black Man in Red Cuba. It's a very short book. It's a book you can read in not even an afternoon. When I was an undergrad, I went to the library and I found it because I was looking for something else. I was a Spanish major, and I found the book, and really, it's very telling because it's giving you another side of the Cuban Revolution and like the idealization of it, and it challenges that because the author is an African American man, he's a black man, and he leaves the United States to go to live in Cuba right after the revolution. So right after Fidel had taken over, he's down there maybe a year or two later. So I'm supposing
Wow.
1961 or something, and he lives there for a good, I think, maybe a year or two. And he gets on the inside of it, and he's showing you how, yeah, it's one thing on paper, but the revolution for Black people in Cuba wasn't always what it was cracked up to be, or what it was, sold as. So it's really interesting, and I really love that book. And he is extremely gifted. This writer. I don't think he wrote another book, but I will find out the name, and I'll post the name of the author soon.
Okay, my third book, I have to put this writer up there. I think he's Mount Rushmore of American authors, along with Thomas Wolfe and Toni Morrison and Kurt Vonnegut. James Baldwin, Fire Next Time.
Absolutely.
Every sentence is an uppercut. Every sentence
Mm, mm,
is just
Poetry.
breathtaking writing. He's as good as it gets.
Hmm.
He should have won a Nobel Prize, but they probably awarded to some dopey symbolist poet from Sweden that nobody cares about because that's Nobel. Don't get me started. I read a poem on stage at the Apollo Theater, and I mentioned that James Baldwin should have won a Nobel Prize when he was
He
alive.
should have won several times over because I mean, just for oh my goodness, if these walls could talk, I think he wrote Bill Street, correct?
Yeah,
Bill Street, just amazing
Giovanni's
things.
Room.
Giovanni's Room, yes.
Everything he wrote was great. In fiction, nonfiction, he could
And
do
he
anything.
always told the truth. And you have to watch his videos when he does interviews and things of that nature. He's absolutely fearless, and I wish may there be many more like him.
Okay, so we're on your
So
fourth
my
book.
fourth book. All right,
This is
so we're
good.
on to Cold Mountain by Charles Frazier. And I don't know if you all have seen the movie. It was wonderful. It's Nicole Kidman and Jude Law and Renee Zellweger and I think Jack White from the White Stripes was in it. But the book, as they always say, is a lot better, and it really is. It's just what I like about Charles Frazier's writing, and my favorite genre is historical fiction. So anything about something that was significantly no, I'm sorry, had any type of historical cultural significance, but there's a novel that's been written around it, I'm going to love it. And that's what Cold Mountain was. It's a fictionalization of what was going on in North Carolina at the time. And of course, there are people who didn't own slaves and people who were just trying to get by and trying to make do. So they're not apologizing for slavery in the book, or they're not whitewashing it or something like that, or being just dismissive of what was going on, but they're showing you another side of life where you did have free whites and free blacks and the struggles that they were going through. And the protagonist has her own issues and she's got to resolve them on her own. And it's just a really great book. So overall, just a retelling of the Civil War from another perspective, not a landed aristocracy, always telling the story kind of like going with the wind, but rather people who were somewhere caught in the middle. You had a farm, maybe you didn't have slaves, you know, and yeah.
Okay, so historical fiction. I'm a history teacher. I obviously love it as well. I wanted to put a spiritual book on this. This inspired a lot of people. This book inspired Steve Jobs. Obviously, not to be a better person because he was an awful person,
Mm,
awful. But he became successful. He always quoted this book, which I still like the book despite that. Autobiography of a Yogi by Parananta Yogahansa, who had a self-realization center in Los Angeles, of course, California. It's where all the New Ages go. But this is a spirit. I wanted a spiritual book. I picked this most spiritual place on the planet, India. Yogi. It applies to multiple religions, different spiritual practices. It's just the most mind-blowing spiritual book, and I've read spiritual books from all different religions. But I think that definitely blew my mind, and I have to put that up. And again, another highly influential book. And I read his other stuff, but this is by far the best.
mm,
Yogis rule, India rules. I got to go to India. Everything great came from India, like tie dye and
mm,
pajamas.
mm-hmm. Yes, true.
A lot of sleepwear
Less,
from India.
honestly,
Big on sleepwear.
well, sleep is important. We spend the eighth of our life in bed, so a third of our life.
Okay,
I'm
so
sorry,
now
eight
your
hours a
fifth
day.
book, and then we have a bonus book for sticking around.
Okay, so our fifth book is well, it's not really a book per se, but it's a trilogy by Federico Garcia Lorca, who is my main inspiration for what I do. As I said earlier, I studied Spanish literature for many years, many more years than I should have probably. But when I was 16, I was reading the Gypsy Ballads, and I had to read Lorca's famous trilogy. And in it, it's three plays. It's Blood Weddings, The House of Bernardo Alba, and Yerma, which means barren. So the main character is barren. She cannot have kids. And when I was reading about these plays, there's so much passion, there's so much life, there's so much death, there's so much struggle. All these things, all happening in a very rural, very older environment that's circa the late 1800s, that type of feel. And everything's kind of closed off and everything's kind of just everything is moving a lot more slowly. So when there is scandal in the towns, it's a big deal. That's the excitement. And I remember reading some of the plays and also some of the poetry of Lorca from the Gypsy Ballads. And when I was 16 in high school, I looked down at this particular poem called Green How I Love You Green. And I decided, I said, wow, this is what life is really about. So very beautiful symbolism. He was a surrealist,
Was
great
he killed by
dramatist.
Franco, dictator Franco?
Yes, and unfortunately, I haven't been to Spain yet, but I my wish is to go to his hometown and also to pay my respects because he really was a citizen of the world. And Franco did kill him, and we don't know where he is buried. They buried him in an unmarked grave. One of the greatest playwrights of the 20th century is been buried in his own country, and we still don't know where. So that's the heartbreak of
And
the
he was
book.
killed because of his sexual preferences?
He was killed because, right, the Francoist regime was very staunchly conservative. So they were not into any new ideas. The only ideas that were going to be out were going to be Franco's. So universities were under attack a lot of times. A lot of times you had, artists and poets and dramatists. They're free thinkers,
I
and
know
he didn't
George
have time for that.
Orwell went to Spain in Barcelona during the Civil War and
Yes.
was wounded, almost died.
Mm-hmm.
So Spain did attract a lot of writers.
Absolutely.
My fifth book, I was going to go with The Prince Machiavelli because it shows
Mm.
people at its finest, but I changed my mind last second. If any writer if I could write like, it'd be Hunter S. Thompson.
Mm.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Mm.
It's psychotic.
It
It's
is.
chaos
It
in
is.
every word. It's frenetic. It's kinetic.
Yes.
It's all those etics. I worship Hunter. He covered the Super Bowl. Had an assignment to cover Super Bowl. Never went to the game. Eviscerated the political establishment in the 70s.
Mm.
Got a little peaked a little bit early, but if I had to pick any book, if I could write like anybody, it'd be Hunter. Just pedal to the metal, no, all gas, no brakes, leave it all out there, and leave like a tornado in your wake.
Mm. Mm.
So
Hunter S. Thompson.
now the bonus book, when we originally came up with this channel, which we know is going to break the internet, this is just, it's only a matter of time. Mr. Beast is going to be doing a collaboration probably within 3 hours. So we picked the same book. We read thousands of books, literally thousands of books between us, and we chose this one book that I don't think is well known in the United States.
Not at all. No. And the name of the book is Child of the Dark by Maria Carolina de Jesus. She is an Afro Brazilian woman who came to prominence more in the 50s because she was writing about her experiences living in the favelas, which are kind of like shanty towns basically that were built by Afro Brazilians who had migrated from the north to the south to Rio to find work. And when they didn't find this work, they couldn't go back immediately up north to go home. So they started building their own shanty towns, what they're called favelas in Brazil. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of these. And she had a second grade education. Her mother had the opportunity to send her to school, and she made sure her daughter went, and she started writing an autobiography of sorts. And one day there was a reporter who heard her say, "If you don't stop doing X thing, I'm going to put you in my book." And that caught his attention. And then that's when the two of them, I think they hooked up, and he was able to get her work published. And the editing of this book was a torture because she was a good writer, but you have to remember she was writing at a second grade level, so she was just saying a lot of the same things every day.
She had to get the paper. Just getting the paper was an accomplishment. So she was throwing away paper. She didn't have money. Usually, if you're going to be a writer, every writer needs to read this to be inspired. It's the most inspirational book, and there's a follow-up to it.
Yes.
That I just read.
Mm-hmm.
And after she got a modicum of success,
mm-hmm.
The road wasn't easy. People were praying for her. People were coming asking for money, hitting her up left and right, which they're going to hit us up for money once we get so big. I'm going to have to go deal with that, but that's okay. So we both agreed on that.
Mm-hmm.
Part 2 is going to be coming very soon. Thanks for sticking around the first one. You're going to want to be part of this journey because we're going to crush it, and you're going to want to be there. That's just the way it is. So may the 4 winds blow you safely home. Peace. Pez on earth.
Bye.
That was great.